Hello everybody! My name is Fixium, and today we're going to be fixing the bus which decided it wanted to kill itself. Actually, no, that's not true. We're going to be fixing the bus after a VIDS remanufactured starter tried to sabotage it. If you missed the last video, go check it out. We had an awesome track day. Molly caught fire, just a little baby fire, and then drove home and the bus caught fire. I explained the situation in the last video, but I didn't do it very well because I was kind of in the moment. I was still kind of in shock after my bus tried to catch fire. So I'm gonna re-explain it today, and then we're going to hopefully fix it. So, what happened? I had just driven back home from the track. Everything was great. The bus had driven there and back great, started great, stopped great. I got back to the shop, turned off the bus, unloaded the Miata from the trailer, and then I went to go turn the bus back on so I could park the trailer and park the bus in the parking spots. That's when it started going crazy. I turned the ignition on and I heard this noise. It sounded kind of like, almost like a buzzing or like a humming. I was a little worried, but you know, whatever. Tried to start it a couple times and just click, 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 click. You know, the key was totally working. It was, you know, going on, coming back, you know, it was cycling through all the phases it should cycle, but it wasn't starting, and that humming, that buzzing, kept going on. This is kind of when I realized something was wrong, so I took the key out, still kept buzzing. I got out of the bus and I kind of checked to see where the noise was coming from, and sure enough, it was coming from the starter. By then, it had probably been spinning for about 30 seconds to a minute. It already started smoking just a little bit. The starter wasn't actually cranking the motor, it was just spinning inside of itself. It hadn't popped out and cranked the motor, so I guess we're lucky that happened. Didn't happen. After I realized that it was the starter, I kind of started to freak out because I'm like, okay, starter's spinning freely, it's smoking, it's getting hot. I figured the only way to shut it down was to pull the terminals off the battery. Unfortunately, there are two batteries. In order to successfully deactivate the electrical system, you have to pull the terminals off both batteries. The even more unfortunate part is that the terminals are rusty and it's a standard size. And I don't have any standard size tools because all my cars that I actually work on are Japanese, they're metric. I only have one wrench that works for the bolts on the terminals. And of course, I couldn't find the wrench. I was running around the shop trying to find this thing. Meanwhile, the starter's still spinning, starting to smoke more and more. Found a wrench, went under the bus, tried it, didn't work. Found another wrench, went under the bus, tried it, didn't work. I went back to check on the starter to make sure hadn't caught fire yet, because I was a little worried that was gonna happen. That's when I saw smoke was starting to pour out of the grill of the bus, and yikes. So I popped the hood. I couldn't see a flame, so I was like, all right, hopefully it's just, you know, smoke building up from the starter itself. So I called my friend. I was gonna ask him like, hey, you know, do you think I should just spray the fire extinguisher in there anyway, even though I don't see any flames? As I'm on the phone, I went to go check on the bus again, like the engine bay area, and sure enough, it had actually started to catch fire. It had started to flame. So I was like, holy shit, like get over here, help me, I'm gonna need help, like help. Hang up the phone, I sprint over to the truck, get the fire extinguisher. Thankfully, I knew where it was, I knew that it had worked. Put the fire out with the fire extinguisher, and yeah. The problem is that the starter is still going. It's been going now probably for at least 3 to 4 minutes. You can tell that it's starting to die, because the buzzing is getting kind of inconsistent. It's like you can just tell it hates life. But even though the starter was dying, the electricity was still running through it, and it was still causing these other wires to get really hot, which I think is what causes fire in the first place. At this point, I was like, okay, screw it. I don't need to unbolt these terminals, I just need to yank them off. So I got a vice grip, ripped off the bolts, ripped off the terminals. The terminals on those batteries are so annoying to get off. Even once you loosen them, like you have to pry them off. So I was under the bus trying to pry it off while the engine bay is catching fire, smoking. This is when all the other electrical parts of the bus started to freak out. The gauges I saw were like, you know, flipping up and down. The backup alarm that hasn't worked in like a year started to go off. I heard popping from the inside. The electrical system was going crazy. I was so stressed. I was like, God damn it, trying to get this freaking terminal off while the bus is essentially destroying itself. Eventually I did get the terminal off. You know, everything stopped. Starter stopped spinning. I went to go check in the engine bay. The flame had come back because while I was under trying to get the terminals off, it had reignited itself. So I put it out again. I think it started back up once more time. I put it out again, and that was that. And that's when I picked up my camera and I started talking. But yeah, I just posted that last video and you guys seem to think that it's the starter relay that went bad and then caused this entire thing to happen. I did look in the engine bay a little bit more, and the only wires that were really burnt were ground wires. So I'm assuming that when the starter got stuck open, you know, there's these two giant batteries feeding all of their electricity through these tiny ground wires, and I'm assuming that's why the ground wires got really hot, melted, and started a fire. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna replace the starter with a new one, not a remanufactured one. We are going to replace the starter relay, and we're gonna hope that fixes it. I'm also gonna fix the terminals, because if something like this happens again, I wanna be able to get those terminals off easy. You know what I might even do? I might like zip tie or Velcro the correct size wrench onto the battery case. So like, it's just right there, I can grab it, unbolt it. Hopefully that fixes it. If it doesn't, then we're kind of in deep shit, because there's some other wiring damage. Unfortunately, oh, you can't really tell, but there's a storm coming. I can't push the bus inside because it weighs 10,000 pounds. So point is, I have to work on it outside, and it's about to rain, so I'm just gonna get to it. I'm gonna put a GoPro on, climb underneath that bus, and pull out the starter for the 3rd time in less than 3 weeks. Yep, it's recording. Cool. That storm's coming in fast. I'm so screwed. Oh, this stuff is like thick. Doesn't vacuum up very well. That sucks. Shout out to my boy David and Patterson Car Care for the hookup. Never in a million years did I think I'd be detailing an engine bay of a school bus after having to put out a fire. Isn't it so weird? There's an alternator right there and then an alternator right there. 2 alternators from the factory. Doesn't look much better. Is it sad that I've memorized which tools I need to take the starter out? Oh yes, a nice wet, damp, cold ground. Just what I love. There she is. Oh wait, that's tightening it, isn't it? Yep. I forgot one thing, I need a short 13 mil. Oh wow, it's getting dark out. That's kind of scary. $14 and 12s. Where's 13? Half. Of course. Oh, I fell a couple drops of rain. Grab this piece of shit. Okay, it's got power. That's good. Yep. Dead. Well, that's good to know. Starter's out, tested that. That was definitely bad. I pulled the starter relay out, tested that, and that was actually good. I'm assuming the actual solenoid on the back of the starter is what went bad. So this guy right here probably went bad, just sent constant power through it. Starter just spun and spun and spun, overheated. All the wires that were connected to it and overheated, and boom, fire. Unfortunately, O'Reilly's didn't have a new one in stock. Only had remanufactured ones. Not making that mistake again. So I gotta wait an hour. No, I have to wait 2 hours. You can actually smell that this thing is fried. It smells like a burnt clutch or a burnt anything. It's so screwed up. But it's 3 o'clock now, so I can go get the new one. New starter, I did get a new relay, just might as well. And let's pray that this is actually the issue and that we don't have to replace anything else. I feel like I get birthed out of this bus. Whew. Easy enough. Starter's replaced, relay's replaced. We can try to start this thing. I'm gonna put the battery terminals on and see what happens. Is that cam reception or what? If anything goes wrong, rush out to the back, pull the terminals off real quick. Not too hard. That wasn't good, but it wasn't bad. No, okay. The starter is clicking, but not actually turning over the motor. So, two possible issues. Either those ground wires that burnt up actually are burnt up, they're not allowing enough power through them, or there's just not enough power in the batteries. But the voltage gauge on the bus says they've got plenty of voltage. So I'm gonna start with charging the batteries. That's the simpler solution. Otherwise, we're gonna have to pull out those ground cables, those ground wires, and replace them. The good news is that, you know, there's no sparks, there's no shorts, there's nothing of that. There's nothing that's not supposed to be happening that is happening. What I'm trying to say is that I didn't blow up and die. I thought about it a little bit, and I decided that even if we could get it started without replacing those two ground wires, we probably shouldn't. We might as well fix it right. So I'm gonna take off the charge pipe, and I'm gonna try to replace the wire. So that is the wire that actually caught fire, that bottom one. You can actually tell that it's the one that caught fire because, you know, obviously that entire area was doused with fire extinguisher stuff, and that other wire is covered in it, but that one isn't. Yeah. Because it was hot enough where it burnt it off right after it, you know, got on it. It goes into the abyss, which is the unfortunate part. So we'll chase it down. It connects into this big wire right there, as you can tell, and goes to a ground. So we'll try to just chop it pretty much on that wire, and then trace it back, chop it at the other side, and replace it. Pretty much that top wire, the burnt one, I started messing around with it and it just snapped. And this is the other side, and it's just another ground. So like, it was just a wire that connected the frame to the actual body. So I don't know why it burnt up. It is very screwed up.
Yeah, clean her out.
I had thought this burnt wire was connecting to another wire, because there was like this big chunk of what looked like a wire. This is the conduit, the plastic conduit that used to be on this wire. Look at this. It's just like barbecued. Oh. It smells like a fire. Woo. KO. Batteries 1, wire 0. Ford decided to make all of their important bolts 8 mils, which are tiny and happen to round out really easily. The 2 wires that we found that were bad are replaced. The new ground right here going to the alternator. Obviously it is a red cable. This one is not in the stock location. It's all zip tied up so it won't rub or anything, but it's kind of weird that these were the 2 wires that got burnt. This wire down here was a, you know, frame to chassis ground. Then the one up there was an alternator to chassis ground. So I don't know what that means, but we're gonna try to start it.
Yeah, she's always done.
Hell yeah, dude!
Brand new, baby.
That brand new starter, just loved it, dude.
Well, honestly, probably better ground ones helped you.
Yeah, I bet you it did, yeah. And it started pretty quickly too, right?
Yeah.
We're going for a drive. We're gonna bring this along. Actually, there's already one in there, but 2's better than 1. As much as I would love a nice new transit van, there's something about pushing the accelerator and just, oh, that sounds so good.
You lose all the sounds.
I know. Although it is twin turbo, but it wouldn't sound like that.
Yeah,
Diesels, I love the sounds of diesels.
Fire, what fire? Got him.
Hell yeah. Shut up. We are victorious. The bus is fixed, it's running, it's driving. The thing I wanted to address is how freaking lucky we got. We had a legit fire in the engine bay, and the only thing it damaged were 2 ground wires. With all that electricity flowing through the starter, I thought we were gonna have blown relays, blown fuses, melted power wires, signal wires. I thought it was just gonna be a wiring nightmare. Nothing. New starter, new ground wires, new starter relay, which I don't think was bad. And it's back. It's back. Even though it's a big old boat that's rusty and unreliable and slow and terrible gas mileage and noisy, possibly one of my favorite vehicles that we have, just because it's so cool. I don't know. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please give it a like. If you didn't, please give it a dislike. Thank you everyone for all your help in the comment section of the last video. We all figured this out together. We got it running, and now we can go on adventures again. Goodbye, have a great day. Subscribe if you're new, and goodbye, have a great day.